Red. Red paint fill. Blood. Death. Taboo. These are all words that pop into my mind when I think of red fill paintballs, the forbidden paintball.
Red paint, red paint, red paint, red paint, Nelsplat, Nelsplat, red paint, red paint, red paint, red paint, Nelsplat, Nelsplat.
So now, armed with my Nelsplat red shell red filled paintballs, I become the angel of death. The hour of vengeance is upon us. Time to unleash the
Most fields are FPO these days, field paint only. Everyone out there is shooting the same ball. Nobody has a better or worse paintball. Some fields have multiple grades of field paint, which seems to make sense, but I'm always shocked at how many only have a single grade, like one paint fits all guns. It's usually not great stuff, because it has to be rugged enough to shoot through all the field's rentals and have a price tag low enough to keep customers coming back with some regularity. A decade ago, finding a bring your own paint field or BYOP was easy. Paintball as an industry was growing every year, and most players, me included, liked having the opportunity to buy nice paint if I had money, or cheap stuff from a big box store if I was strapped but I wanted to play regardless. I liked being able to try out a bag or two from all the major manufacturers to measure the differences in quality, price, and performance to find my favorite paintball. As the paintball market has fluctuated in recent years, the field operators near me all mutually decided to switch to field paint only to help get those profits back up. One day a while ago, after a tournament series, a field I visit from time to time, j&js Paintball in Marshall, Missouri, said they would have an open play day and allow people to bring their leftover paint from the tournament and shoot it that day for a small fee. Even though I didn't play the tournament series and didn't have any leftover paint, I couldn't pass up the chance to bring my own outside paint for the first time in years. J&J's usual field paint is Carnage Tear, which is one of my all-time favorite paintballs anyway, but they no longer produced a red fill paintball, though they used to. And I made up my mind that if I'm going to bring my own paint, I'm going old school and bring out the red. My enemies will feel my vengeance and shall go to the dead box drenched in blood. But if Carnage no longer made a red fill paintball, I had to look elsewhere. So I went to A&S Gear and found that Nelson still made their Nelsplat paintballs in red fill. The only experience I ever had with Nelsplat was a short-lived paintball field in Iowa called Mr. Biggs Paintball, where they used it as their field paint. Mr. Biggs also used hay bales wrapped in thick plastic sheeting as bunkers and stacked them like Legos. R.I.P. Mr. Biggs. The Nelson Paint Company invented the paintball, and now barely anybody remembers them, but that's what your old pal Kevin's for. I give a voice to the voiceless, and a stage for the unappreciated. So, that fateful afternoon, I placed an order for one case of Nelson Nelsplat paintballs for $35, and the shipping added almost the same amount to the price, but hey, I was desperate to have the paint for the weekend, and boy, I was excited when that box arrived. Well, it's nice to see A&S Gear marked the box appropriately and made sure to wrap the paint in tape labeled fragile, so the handlers knew to be extra careful with it. They put a layer of paper and one sheet of bubble wrap underneath the case for padding. Hope that was enough. Well, I can't say Nelson went over the top in their box design, but hey, simplicity is the best sometimes. I like all the stickers telling me how fresh it is, though, and there's even a sticker for what color the paint is. How nice! Glad to see they got it right, and there's a stain on the box. There's a red stain on the box. The box is stained red. I wonder how that could have happened to get red on this part of the box. What a strange coincidence. I guess I'll inspect the contents now. Let me just peel back the cover here and... Oh no. Why, God, why? Why have you forsaken me? Well, it appears this poor case of paint had suffered some sort of mishap on its way from California to Missouri. Not one, but two of the 4 bags opened up, and not from the twist tie coming undone, no, but by the sides of the bags being blown out via blunt force trauma, so the paint was literally bleeding out. In the bags that didn't open, there were still broken balls inside. In fact, there might have been more paint in those bags than in the cardboard box. So I guess I'll break out my patented technique for cleaning paintballs when there's broken paint in the bag. Basically, I take a shallow, flat cardboard box, line it with paper towels, and then using a cotton t-shirt, I gently wipe the paint down, one handful at a time, and put them in a new clean bag. The factory twist tie bags are impossible to seal properly, so I use Ziploc bags. I also make sure to put silica packets inside to absorb any trapped oxygen to make sure the paint lasts as long as possible. It takes a while, but getting all that fill off the balls is imperative to restoring it to peak performance. Unfortunately, with all the bags needing a lot of attention, this took quite some time, but I think the results speak for themselves. Here I accidentally dropped one of the paintballs and noticed it cracked at about a 4-foot drop. That's tournament level breaking distance for sure, so I tried it with another ball. Wow, look at that! Have you ever seen a more beautiful drop test break than that? It's a work of art. I didn't clean the floor for 2 weeks, this was so beautiful. In my opinion, there's just something cool about red fill. It brings a touch of savagery back to the sport. I don't think it's as dangerous as people say. Some people try to argue that red fill can hide wounds because the fill looks like blood. Those people are just looking to complain about something. This paint wipes off easily enough to not hide any legitimate wounds, and if someone is actually hurt, I think they'll be able to distinguish between a paintball hit and an open wound that's gushing blood. It's just not that big of a deal to have red paintballs. Get over it, people. For $35, this paint shot admirably. I honestly thought the review was doomed when the box arrived from FedEx, but the Nelson paint cleaned up nicely. Even at long distances, I was one-balling people, and every time the ball broke. As long as this paint is fresh and free from oil, it shoots fantastic. I like how it has a thinner, runny fill that looks cool on bunkers and makes for easy cleanup. Nobody confused the hits for blood, and everyone who saw the paint expressed positive feelings about it. They'd ask, "Oh, I've never seen red fill before, where'd you get that?" It appears A&S Gear no longer sells the red fill Nelsplat, only the white fill version, but maybe they'll get more in stock in the future, who knows. In the meantime, you can find red paint through Shop for Paintball in the form of Blood Ball. I bought some of those too, but found the fill to be more of a magenta than red, and the shell is pretty hard compared to the Nelson. So of the two, I'd say the Nelson is superior, and cheaper even. But Blood Ball will do if you gotta have red paintballs these days. It's still pretty cheap at $43 a case, and it gets the job done. That's all for now, guys. I got a bunch of reviews in the works. Guns, masks, loaders, everything really. So stay tuned, peeps. Later.